Tommy Davies, born and left in an orphanage or some sort of big house full of kids somewhere in the Northeast, perhaps Pennsylvania. Grew up with not much education and left as soon as possible and became a carny, a hustler, a manager for strippers, a dirty bookstore operator, a gutter drunk, and a songwriter who had lived on his wits and what junk he could collect from yard sales for 16 years in the back of an old car on Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee. I learned a lot about survival from Tommy, and when he died, it hurt a lot. Well, here we are, broke and eating food paid for with Tommy's food stamps and cooked by Debbie on our Coleman cook stove. There were plenty of great stories told that night, and when we were done, Tommy said goodnight and disappeared into the dark. The next day we contacted Brian. He told me to contact Brother Dave. He said Dr. Cricket was on his way to Nashville and needed me to meet up with him for a show for the Cherokee Indians, something about a reenactment of the Trail of Tears. At this point, I'm going to tell you a story I don't really remember very well. Bear with me, and I'll try to make it short. I can't possibly tell my brother's life story at this point. He's 9 years older and needs to tell it himself. This is my story, and Brother Dave is a major part of my story because he was, at times, and still is, the only supporter of the dream that I have lived. I've probably spent more money, his and mine, talking long distance to him than I have all of the women in my life put together, and he is incapable of creative phone sex. This means we have had to limit our phone calls to crying, laughing, reality, and dreams. When sex has been mentioned, we have shared the agony that sex has caused in our lives. He has experienced more agony because he was not born sterile all of those years like me. He has lots of children and grandchildren, and as far as we know, I have none. I have been pronounced sterile by several doctors through the years, and no one has come up yet to the stage and called me Daddy. Brother Dave, Dr. Cricket, Dr. David George Hilligoss, college professor, preacher, gun-toting, storytelling lover of all women, drinker, drug user, harmonica-playing, yo-yo expert, lover of fine arts, father, grandfather, cowboy, Indian, farmer, stander-upper for all racially oppressed people, musician, book writer, Bible theologian, crazy as a June bug, brother, and believer in me. Dave has been involved in more political movements for the Native Americans than any white man in the history of the 20th century United States. He has been on all of the reservations and is a pipe holder and believes in the religions of the Native American Indians and has found peace and tranquility in northeast Oklahoma in 60 acres of fleas, rocks, and ticks as a retired professor. He is now starting to live his storytelling and music dream with no pressure and stress added to his life from the education world for the first time in his life. By the time Dave got to Nashville, Debbie and I had seen Brian and contacted another old friend of mine by the name of Cal Roberts.